Um, my opening remark before I get into this is whatever weakness you're having in the business, there's no need to wait to fix it. Just fix it now. A lot of times what happens is there's some type of weakness in terms of us being able to get in front of qualified people, in terms of recruiting, getting people to meetings, whatever it is. Just fix it now. There's nothing that needs to happen or is going to happen that's going to shrink your problem. You have to attack your issue. And at any point in my business, right, no matter how well I was doing in any one area, there was always some type of weakness, and I attacked it. Another thing is, I always like to remind people that right now you are a part of a group, right? So you're a business within a business. But at some point, if you want to be an RVP or if you want to be like us in a sense, you have to envision yourself having something like this where you were at the front of the room. Does that make sense? So that's something that you have to build towards. Like when we go to Primerica trips, I see a bigger version of what I have, right? And there are people in Primerica who, when you go on a Primerica trip and there's 2,000 people in a room, there are people in that room that in their home state, they can have 2,000 people in a meeting. Does that make sense? So Primerica is a bigger version of what we are trying to build. And Shaq and I are bigger versions of what you are trying to build. So there's no situation where you just sit in that seat forever and I'm always up here and you're an RVP, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. The way it's supposed to be is you have your own location where you have 30 people coming on a Monday morning or whatever it is, and 100 people on a Saturday, which is what we all strive for. And that is your group, that is your team. So sometimes it's good to kind of ask yourself, like, what am I building towards? What am I building towards? Am I building towards having my own location, having my own business, having my own people, having an audience, having a group, having a team? And there are ways to do Primerica where you're actually not going in that direction. So it's always a good reminder. So some of the things that I want to talk about, when we recruit people, because Shaq's going to talk more about appointments, so I want to talk about recruiting today. When we recruit people, in your mind, what are you recruiting them to? Right? Like I'll consider you brand new, right? And you're definitely brand new here. When you're recruiting people, what are you recruiting people to?
To recruit more people.
Okay.
To get on appointments. To get into a warm market.
That's why you're recruiting.
Yeah.
But when you recruit someone, what technically are you even recruiting her to? I think most people think they're recruiting someone to Primerica. So a lot of what you talk about is how great the company is. What's another thing people recruit to?
To your team?
Yeah. So I think that's on this side, right? Which is good. I think most people recruit people to Primerica. They recruit people to financial products. And they recruit people to make more money. Nothing wrong with this stuff. But it's very basic. So what happens is people prospect and they get in front of people and they bring people to the op meeting. Shaq does an amazing job. But in reality, what you're keeping it very, very basic. Hey, do you want to do financial services? Look at how much money you can make. You can do something new, right? and look at our great company. And here's a book of how many people make money in our company. And it's very, very, very basic. So you run the numbers and you'll find a good amount of people, hopefully, that want to join the company Primerica and want to get into financial products as you convince them that that's exciting and it's profitable, and it is, right? And then they can make more money for themselves. When I was the top recruiter in the company, I always had an overarching vision layered on top of that stuff that was beyond just a basic message. And I think that that's very, very powerful, because one of the things that I read in a book and I've heard over and over is that people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. People want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And like the cliche example is people get really inspired by elections, right? And you see groups of people, and now you see it on social media, right? Like, people won't sell to save their lives, but they'll promote a candidate that they have no idea what they're talking about, what they're promoting, anything. Or maybe even they do, but it's gonna have very little impact on their life. But in their mind, it's bigger than them. It's like, I'm saving the country, I'm changing the direction of the country. And so it's bigger than themselves. Now, they would never promote a product for their own life, for their own income, for their own business, but they'll do something bigger. So I realized that if I could recruit people, or I could create a vision for someone to come into, and I could make them a part of a bigger vision, that I was just casting a wider net, or I could hook them a little bit, more intensely. So some of the things that I use, right? If I was talking to someone from an international community, like when I started, a large portion of my team was Hispanic. And I would tell people, I would say, look, the reason, like, do you speak another language? What do you speak?
Spanish.
Spanish. Okay, what's your name? Nancy. So I would say, Nancy, look, the reason I want you is because you are bilingual. There's such a huge population of people that speak that language, and that is gonna automatically give you an advantage, even over me. I have all the experience in the world. You have no experience, but let's be honest, if you sit down with a Hispanic family, do they wanna talk to me with all the experience and someone that they can't understand? Or do they wanna talk to you because right away they know you understand the language, the culture, the background? I'm just gonna quickly teach you what to say, because coming from you, it's gonna be so much more impactful. Now, when you think about how many people need help financially, within the Hispanic community, you think those numbers are bigger or smaller? They're much bigger. And look, it's human nature. They want to talk to you, not me. That is why I want to hire you. And imagine what we can do for the community. Imagine what we can do for the community. If we can teach people how to save money in the Hispanic community, guess what? Those kids are going to go to college and they're going to say, wow, my parents saved for my college, maybe I should save for my kids' college. And I should save for retirement. And I should stay out of debt. And now those kids have better jobs, don't they? And now they make more money. And because they make more money, now they can give more money to the church. You see how it's kind of like a cycle?
Yeah.
But it all starts with us growing this team within the Hispanic community. You think I've ever said that before? Or you think I just made it up right now?
Yep.
Or you can say, hey, so you can make $1,000 a month, and on insurance it's 80%. Do you want to join? Dude, like, you got to step up your game if you want to be elite in these different areas. I was going and taking her and meeting her parents and telling them that story, and they were like, where do I sign for the insurance? And please work with my daughter. Here are 3 people that they can go see. Just letting you know, like, you gotta throw more spice on it, man, than just like the basic stuff. And the thing about it is, all my stories, whether it's my personal story or whether it's these like other vision stories, they were all stories that got me really intense, really, really passionate, really excited, and the clients could see that.
Yeah.
the people could see that, and they want to be a part of that. You know, if I'm guys like this and I say, hey, I'm 19 years old. I'm not even supposed to be in financial services, but I'm getting mentored right now, and I'm part of this awesome company, and I want some other young people, and I want to have the youngest team in financial services that's sharp, that's motivated, that's productive, that's making six figures. I mean, you think a couple more people may want to be a part of something like that? I think that was like the healthy thing about having to actually do a full interview, because it forced you to tell your story over and over again, versus what we do is go into the meeting, come out, what did you think, you know, or watch a video, hey, what did you think? Like, I had to repeat my story and my vision over and over, and you know what? It was good for you to hear, but it's also good for me to say it, because I said it 5 times a day. You know, I used to recruit people to, yeah, all this is great, but can you imagine, you know, what it would be like to actually own your own business? I understand, man, most businesses don't fail, but have you ever tried to run your own business? Well, only if we try will we know if it works. If it doesn't work, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You got some licenses, you met some cool people, you made some money, right? The downside is not that bad, but what about the upside? What if it actually does work? Who would have thought that it would have worked for me? I was a chemistry student, never done anything entrepreneurial, super introverted. It worked for me. What if it can work for you? It changed my life, right? So when there's that little risk but that much upside, wouldn't it make sense to at least give it a try?
Yeah.
Is this how you're talking to people? Or are you saying, oh, you want to think about it? Okay, see you next time. So what did you think? What the hell are they going to think? They don't even know how to think. You guys put too much faith in people, man. They have to be encouraged. They have to be like led. They have to be influenced. They're coming to a meeting with people they don't know, hearing some message that they understood 40% of it, and then you're asking them what they think. You got to tell them what to think. And I promise you they will thank you later. Does that make sense? You want to get to 20, 30, 40 recruits. You want to get to people, bringing people, giving you lists, wanting to introduce, wanting to bring high numbers. This is the kind of energy you got to have in your talks. One of the things that I always used to do, right? Like, do you look at state leaderboard?
Yeah.
Yeah? Where are you at right now today on state leaderboard?
I didn't look at it today.
Okay. When was the last time you looked at it?
I think for recruits,
Yeah.
I think 8.
Okay. But where were you number-wise?
Oh,
Rank.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you know?
She was number 7 yesterday.
Number 7?
Yeah.
As
she's at
what? As a
Delaware River District.
district, she was number 7?
Yeah.
It's that competitive.
Yeah.
Who's number
Virginia,
1?
in Virginia.
Yeah. Who's number 1?
She's number 1's at 24 recruits month to date. Jackson. Under Rocky. Yeah.
Oh, that can't be happening. We got to make sure people in our organization are being number 1. I thought you'd be higher with the numbers that you have. Obviously, you got to do more. But I would be recruiting people to state leaderboard. I remember I was in George Mason University. I was sitting in the Johnson Center, which is like their main area, and I'd be in there, and I'd be in full-blown study groups with POL up, showing people, look, we have a contest to go to Hawaii. I'm number 1 in the entire company. And people would be like, what? People haven't seen that type of winning, guys. Or maybe just in sports and they miss it because it's been so long. You know? Show people, hey, I'm number 2, I'm trying to get to number 1. If you join my team, you can help me get to number 1. I'm trying to take over the state. There's all these different ways psychologically that you can recruit people or get them more excited. We have to use a lot of these different resources. And then of course another one is the crusade. right? Which some people do a great job of, and you want to recruit people to helping others and what's going on out there, what's going on in, you know, your specific community maybe, right? Like Sheila does. And that could be the African American community, it could be the Hispanic community, or it could just be Middle America in general. You know, no one's doing what we do. I always used to talk about that. Every other company in finance is looking to help wealthier individuals. We're the only financial company that does a complete job for the middle income people. And are there more wealthy people or are there more middle income people? Middle income people. All the companies in America are competing for just 5% of the population. Everybody else is available to us. No other company even wants these clients. And if I can help you to get 4 to 5 a month, you know, you can dramatically change your financial situation. All of this stuff, what it does is it inspires, right? It increases their level of motivation and it reduces their fear and their doubt. That's what you're trying to do. You need to reduce fear and doubt. That's why we talk about, hey, what's the worst thing that can happen? Because when they actually think about it, it's like, what is the worst that can happen? There's very little downside, there's a lot of upside. It's going to help them come to a decision. So, I was talking to Adric and Xander yesterday, and if you think about we prospect someone, right? Then most of us, we invite to an op meeting. Then we have to close IBA, which means we want to recruit them. Then they watch orientation video. And then, I guess some of us call this the fast start, which is the activity we do with them after the orientation. Now, when I started, 90% of this I had to do all on my own. Yeah, we had an op meeting, it was once a week, it was in the evening. A lot of people wanted to meet outside of that, so I was more of an interviewer. I always had guests at the op meetings, right? 2 or 3 guests at the op meetings, but I was meeting with 15 to 20 people a week. So 3, yeah, were coming in the evening on Tuesday night, but the other, 12, 13, 14, 15 people I was meeting with them one-on-one. So that's kind of what got me proficient so quickly, was because I was responsible for like this video was actually, it was an actual physical meeting we would have. It took me so long to learn how to do an orientation. So what we did a few years ago, we're like, why don't we just make this into a video where the people can just watch it and they don't have to learn how to do it?
Yeah.
Okay? So this is, you want to get to the point to where you're getting people off to a fast start, you're getting people on appointments, you're getting a list from people. Everyone's got a prospect. There's various ways that you can do this. Some people do social media. Some people do face-to-face. Some people do resumes, right? Some people call warm market lists. Market invites. Okay? So this is where everything starts. The op meeting, this part is taken care of for you. Like we were talking yesterday, and that guy, MetaQ, you see he's very sharp, he's very excited, very motivated, and those first 3 compliments don't matter except for the next word, which is he's very productive. Sometimes we get so excited about sharp people that do nothing, right? Probably me more than anybody else. How many people have I promoted from the front of the room and we never heard from them again? Right? That's my job. And I do legitimately believe a lot of times that that person will do something and then it's like, where'd they go, right? Which shows, with all the experience in the world, no one can point out who's gonna be a winner and who's not.
Yeah.
Because assumptively, I should know better than anyone and I'm wrong most of the time, right? Okay, that's why you just gotta recruit everyone. So we're talking about how Medicube, like, Andre can meet somebody at the gym, and then the guy can just really, out of being polite, say, oh, okay, I'll check out whatever you want me to come, but then they get to see Shaq, who is the best representation of our company and what we do, and is the best op meeting in the company. And because of Shaq's presentation, now Andre gets to benefit from all the recruits and production and everything that Medicube brings in. So it's an awesome system in that sense where someone else is doing the most important thing, right? So the op meeting is really taken care of. But you gotta close them, then they watch my video, okay? This is one area where I'm not like humble. That is the best video out there and I've gotten that feedback from many people around the company in terms of explaining how the business works and the psychology in terms of why we do certain things. So this is taken care of. What that means, guys, is this is where you really gotta shine. Like, Jack just did an awesome opportunity meeting. When they come out, I don't want to hear, what did you think? You guys are better than that. You got to learn the questions. You got to learn the process. You got to overcome objection. You got to paint a vision for them. They are excited. They're 10 out of 10 emotion. This is not, everything's being done for you. Don't fumble the ball here. They want to go forward. They want to be talked into it. Does that make sense? I don't know why, man. Like, these weird memories in my mind. I remember it was Ethan Cassay. You remember? I mean, I was 23, just recruited Dante, right? Thomas was around, and we had this sharp guy come in. And imagine, like, Adric, and it's like his 4th day here, and we're like, you are gonna interview him. And he's like, no, I'm not ready. We're like, no, you are gonna interview him. And you better close it. This is how we work, right? Like, there was no exceptions. And he's like, oh man, okay. And then so he goes in there, and then he comes out, he's like, all right, he's kind of interested. I was like, go sign him up right now. Back then it was $200. So he goes, and he closes Ethan. And Ethan, like, he did it, he joined, and then he came to the meetings, and he liked the meetings, and then we went to this event called Hilton Head, which was this year-end event that we used to go to. It was like a three-day event, $500-600. I don't know where we came up with the money. And we had so many young guys there, right? At that point, it was all guys. And I remember having a conversation with Ethan, and he was like, dude, we always used to make fun of Ethan, because we'd be like, yo, you got closed by someone? It was their very first interview. We always joke around with him. He's a sharp guy. I forgot like what his major was or whatever, but very, very sharp guy. Remember Ethan Cassay, right? And he told me, he would laugh back, and he told me, he's like, yeah, but the thing is that if I hadn't signed up and paid $200 that day, I never would have came back. And I never forgot that. Because the reason he came back, he's like, I already paid the $200, let me go see. He was with us for years. His clients today in that market is still paying me today. They still do rollovers with me today. You know, he's the one, his appointment was Kamal, that $1 million insurance policy I just paid out. That was his client. They played poker together.
Wow.
This is 20 years ago. So Shaq, what I'm telling them is like, the op meeting is taken care of, the orientation video is taken care of, where you have to shine is these other areas. The work has been done for you. When they come out, dude, you gotta have a conversation with them in a professional way. And paint this vision of joining your team and joining this cause and what you can do for the community and how the risk is nothing compared to the upside. And you have these conversations, right? And then the other place you gotta shine is after the orientation, after the video. You gotta get really good at what? Getting people to give a list. Because what the theory is, and really it's not a theory because it's been proven, is whatever number you ask for, you're going to get half. So why in the hell are we asking for a top 10? And then you wonder, oh, people, I asked for 10, they gave me 2. How many did we ask for minimum back then? 100. I asked for 100. And types of people I was recruiting, like 4 would be appointments and 96 would be recruits. But that's okay. And you ask for 100 and once in a while you get 100, but we always got 50, 60. But this whole thing of like getting 2 or 3, like your explanation on why to give numbers, it sucks. You have to get better. How many numbers, what's your name? I know you're new, so I'm using you. What's your name?
Felina.
Felina? Okay, how many numbers you got on your phone? What do you estimate?
About, I want to say about, like, 215 contacts.
Okay, so for 215 contacts, if I gave you right now $2,000 just for you to write name and number down, would you do that?
Yeah.
2,000. You would, right? Right? Who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't do that? But see, the thing is that's what's happening, Felina. The reason we're asking you to put names and number on paper because it's going to lead to thousands of dollars. I'm not going to actually exchange thousands, but in the end, that is what's going to happen because in the 200, you think there's anybody that may want to buy insurance or has the wrong insurance or just had a kid or is paying too much or doesn't have enough or has been thinking about this? Right? And you only need a few to get to 2,000. What if you get 20 of them? And can you imagine if there's someone in that 200 that's a Samir? Who would have thought that Samir would have joined Primerica? If you had a friend right now that was going to pharmacy school, young, introverted, never done anything business, would you be like, oh, this is the perfect person to do Primerica? No, you would leave him off the list. But Shaq had the guts to put me on his list, and that's why he's made $1 million off of me minimum. Do you want to make $1 million mistake? No. That's why we got to put everybody down. Now here's the thing, with some people, we can use the name, and we can say, hey, Felina just joined and she's super excited, she thought you may be interested as well, but there's some of those names that we can call anonymously. You know, maybe you have a friend in your, a guy in your phone named Mike, and you met him one time at a bar and that was it. Right? And he doesn't remember you and you don't remember him. What would be really awkward is if you called him and was like, hey Mike, that would be awkward, right? But here's what would be completely normal. If I called him as a corporate recruiter and I didn't use your name.
Right.
And I call him and I say, hey Mike, I'm giving you a call in regards to a possible position with my company. You refer to me as someone who may be interested. And then Mike may ask, oh, but how'd you get my information? Well, Felina, this is what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say Felina. I'm going to say, well, actually, I work just like a corporate recruiter and headhunter. We do a lot of networking and referrals. Could have been a school. Could have been an organization. Could have been a mutual friend. Did I get the wrong information? Now, if Mike says yes, I say, I'm sorry, right? Must have got the wrong information. Have a nice day. most likely Mike's gonna say, no, I'm just wondering, keep going. And I'm gonna get him to come in to the op meeting or to an interview, and I'm gonna recruit him. And at that point, then he won't care where I got the number because he got recruited. If he doesn't get recruited, then it's none of his business. And that's how it's going to work. So give me one good reason why we wouldn't just put every contact down on that list. Or do you say, hey, there's 40 blank lines here, so I'm gonna walk out for 10 minutes, and I get that. Because they told me they heard on a video that someone does that.
Just take the list home and fill it out.
You know, like, when you hear people, that's why it's so good to come to meetings and actually listen to people who are doing well in certain areas, because, you know, then you hear like, oh, that's why they get those types of results. Because it's not just like the basic thing, robotic movements, robotic conversations, right? There's just so much more to all this stuff. And if you can increase your intensity and work on these little stories and get good in the areas that you are responsible for being good at, because we're holding all our responsibilities in the other areas to maintain and grow your team, but the areas where you are in front of them, that you're doing great in these areas, right? If you do that, then you can have a great year.